What's up, man? Are you LDS? Are you Muslim?
I'm LDS.
LDS, awesome.
Right.
How long you been here? Did you see Eric's argument laid out?
No, I missed most of that.
That's okay.
But I'm just enjoying the conversation.
Yeah, that other one was a little off topic. I apologize. Hey, so I'm gonna try to convert you to Islam. Are you ready to hear an amazing proof for the prophethood of Muhammad?
Let me just stop you right there. I am probably on the same page as y'all. That Islam's just as uncompelling to me as it is to y'all. But
wait till you hear this proof, though.
Sure.
Okay, just play along. Just bear with me.
Sure.
Bear with me. All right. So there's a prophecy in Surah 61:6. I'm going to read it. This is the Sahih International. It says, "And mention when Jesus, the son of Mary, said, 'O children of Israel, I am indeed the messenger of Allah to you, confirming that which came before me in the Torah and bringing good tidings of a messenger to come after me, whose name is Ahmad.' But when they came to him with clear evidence, they said this is obvious magic." And so, according to Muhammad, Jesus prophesied his coming. Did you see any problems with that?
I mean, I don't believe Muhammad in this instance for sure.
Well, why would you not believe him? He said Jesus prophesied his coming.
Yeah, that's okay. Everyone can do that. But there has to be some sort of
Evidence?
confirmation.
Like external confirmation?
Well, it doesn't have to be just external. I don't think reality is just externally perceived. I would say that it's also internally. I don't think it's just outside forces, I'd say.
Okay, so would you find it sketchy that Muhammad, do you know of anywhere that this prophecy is found? Have you read the New Testament?
Of course.
Yeah. And so do you know what prophecy he could be referring to?
Obviously, Muhammad's not mentioned in either Old Testament, New Testament.
Good job.
But it seems like you're leading me somewhere.
I am leading you somewhere. I'm leading you somewhere. So, no,
It better be Wendy's is all I'm saying.
No, we got Shake Logic. He's going to cook for us. We don't need to go out.
Okay.
So,
I'm in.
And so, yeah, it would be weird for a prophet to say, nobody knows about this particular prophecy about me, but trust me, guys, Jesus really did predict my coming. Would you find that to be very sketchy?
Not in the absolute. I mean,
Would it be a red flag?
No, not necessarily. Not necessarily.
It wouldn't be a red flag?
Let me explain.
Sure.
What I'm thinking is everything in the Old Testament, we believe that, I'll say Yahweh, Elohim, God of the Old Testament, he started somewhere. Whether that's Abraham or if we go back to Melchizedek or Enoch, God started somewhere. There was a first theophany, and whether that's Adam, whoever you want to say, like there was a start of the pattern. And like y'all were saying with the other LDS guy, there's prophetic patterns, and I'm all for that. But like God speaking to someone new would not be a red flag to me. But obviously, God has spoken. Go ahead.
So, but you wouldn't think wouldn't it be the worst possible choice if there was a prophecy? Say you're a prophet and somebody foretold you're coming, and God's looking out. He's going to pick somebody. First of all, somehow the prophecy gets lost. That's bad. That's strike one, right? There's a prophecy about this particular prophet, and it just somehow gets lost. So strike one, for some reason, something happens. God allows this prophecy to be lost. But then he's going to re-reveal the prophecy, and he's going to re-reveal the prophecy through the very prophet that it's about. You wouldn't find the fact that Muhammad does this not even one bit to be sketchy, like weird, like kind of proof of fraud that he's kind of like, writing his own job reference or giving himself a pat on the back, a 5-star review.
I mean, I don't know how much we want to rehash the last LDS guys. Just prophecy conversations. I would say is sorry. I didn't start here, so I didn't know the initial.
No, you're good. You're good.
But what I would say is that, at least from what you quoted, I'm not familiar with the Quran to any meaningful degree, is that it doesn't seem like that passage is trying even to connect itself to the Old Testament, the New Testament. And you won't agree with this, and that's okay. Some LDS will typically tie, not Joseph Smith specifically, but like the Book of Mormon, let's say, or just continuing Revelation to Isaiah 29, to Ezekiel 37. Now, that might not be compelling, but my point is, at least with Islam, is that we are trying to tie it back to the Old Testament. I would say that's a step up. if it's not
No.
compelling at all, that's totally.
I think Avery and I will both say that Muslims try to do the exact same thing with Deuteronomy 18, Deuteronomy 13, laughably Song of Solomon 5, laughably John 14, 16.
It's weird to look for prophecies in the Song of Solomon's regardless, in my opinion. But
well, we can agree upon that. Thank you. Can you say that again, Levi, for the Muslims that are watching?
I don't know the New Testament quoting from the Song of Solomon's in any prophetic degree either. So feels like a weird text to. So
here's what I'm trying to say. Muhammad, this should be a red flag. This is a huge red flag to me. For one, it's asking me to reason in a circle. In order to believe in the prophecy, I got to believe in the prophet. But in order to believe in the prophet, I got to believe in the prophecy. That's viciously circular. The second problem is God is not a doofus. He's not going to allow a prophecy to get lost about a foretold prophet. And then if he does, he's not going to re-reveal it through that prophet. He's going to give us ways to externally verify. So you and I both believe to some extent, we believe different things about Jesus, but we believe that like Isaiah 53 or Psalm 22 or Zechariah chapter 9 and different things are referring to Jesus, right? And those to us seem pretty clear, and we can actually go back. The Jews had these books, right? Like we have the great Isaiah scroll in the Dead Sea Scrolls that the very people who were opposing us had these scrolls in their possessions, right? So we can check these, but we can't check Muhammad here. And the problem is as you're probably aware, that Joseph Smith does the exact same thing in Genesis 50:33, in 2 Nephi 3:15. He self-certifies, which to me, that ought to raise like a huge red flag that like, why would you do that? It doesn't make any sense. Why would God pick that person to re-reveal that prophecy? And so you have to say either God's really kind of stupid and he wants us to reason in circles and he can't preserve a prophecy and he can't give us a way to verify it and check it. We just have a trust me, bro. Or it should, like, to me, this should make you, it would make me uncomfortable. If Jesus did this, if Paul did this, if Paul was like, a great light will come to the Gentiles and it will start in Damascus and spread all the way to Rome. And it's in Isaiah 67, I'd be like, ooh, there's something funny about the Apostle Paul.
You've said Isaiah 67 twice tonight.
It doesn't exist.
Okay.
It doesn't exist. That's the point. Just like Genesis stops in every New Testament that we have, or excuse me, I said New Testament, Old Testament that we have, Genesis stops in verse 26. But Smith, in the Joseph Smith translation, extends it all the way out. Here, let me show it to you. Avery, if you want to put that screen back up real quick. This is the Joseph Smith translation. He says, and that seer I will bless, and they will seek to destroy him, or those that seek to destroy him shall be confounded. For this promise I give to you, for I will remember you from generation to generation, and his name will be called Joseph, and he shall be after the name of his father. We know that Smith was a junior. His father was senior. And this is Joseph speaking. This is Joseph in Egypt, that patriarch Joseph, right?
Sure.
And so Jacob's son. And so he takes a page right out of Muhammad's playbook. So I'm just asking, like, does that in any way bother you or make you like think like that's at least weird? Because I've even gone on like Mormon forums and people are typing in the forums like, this is weird. I have questions. This makes me doubt. And so, like, if you're honest, like for me, I would just say this would make me doubt. So anyway,
and that's okay. I don't think every ounce of, let's say, Mormonism is as compelling as everything else. I think Joseph Smith reading himself into scriptural texts is less valuable to me than other theological propositions. But let me. I can't remember the last LDS guy's name. I wish I'd quit referring him to just other LDS guy. But I think I disagree with you earlier when you said this doesn't happen in the New Testament. Because I would think Luke 4:21 is a good example of, if not Jesus Christ reading himself into the texts, because the English word Jesus is nowhere in the Old Testament, of course. That'd be anachronistic. And just like Joseph literally with the letter J, that sound didn't exist in the Hebrew time. So, of course, Joseph of Egypt isn't.
Let's pull up Luke then. Let's pull up Luke.
Sure.
So Luke chapter 4.
Yeah,
Luke. Start in verse 18.
Yeah, verse 18, 21. quotes Isaiah 61.
Quote who?
Isaiah chapter 1 verses.
Did you hear yourself though? He's quoting a different prophet.
Sure.
He's quoting
and then
another
Jesus
prophet.
is saying that this is me, or this day is this fulfilled in your ears.
And they can verify that because they can look at
Well,
Isaiah.
I don't know how you could verify that. I mean, you can verify that it's Isaiah. I agree.
They
but-
can verify the fact that it's in Isaiah. That's
For
the
sure.
point. Right?
And I hear what you're saying. I see your point.
He's not saying like, okay, Isaiah said that there would become a great light, and his name shall be Jesus, and he will save people from their sins. And this is in, I don't know, again,
Isaiah
67. Yeah, we might as well. And so he's not doing that. He's quoting a prophet
Sure.
that they can actually verify. He's also providing them other evidence through his miracles, and so
That's me,
true.
baby.
I skipped dinner. Well, no, I had a little bit, but anyways, he's quoting a prophet. That's the pattern of a prophet, right? So
Sure.
actually, Levi, what that shows you, Levi, is that like when he's trying to appeal to prophecies about his ministry, he's appealing to public information that they can check.
I would say, and this is how I'd articulate it, is you're right that let's break up LDS prophecies into two categories, ones that are scripturally appealed to, and others that are just, let's say, Joseph Smith wrote himself in the texts. At least on the side of appeal to texts, I would say Ezekiel 37 is a very popular LDS, and I'm sure you made it sound like you've ran into LDS missionaries before, but I'd say Ezekiel 37 is an example of LDS being, hey, the stick of Judah and the stick of now I'm drawing a blank. Ephraim will be combined together.
I'll be honest, that's about as convincing to me as a Muslim coming up to me and saying Muhammad is in Deuteronomy 18.
And that's okay. I don't expect you to agree with me.
Well, right, because it's just they use vagueness. Second of all, they're just factually incorrect. But that's too vague of a situation, right? Sure, that gives us something to check, but I just don't know how one would interpret that to read it that way. When I read Ezekiel 37, it's like the valley of the dry bones, and like him, I guess you would say that's reviving his church, and that's the dry bones and all that other kind of stuff. And so I think that's referring to, in the context, it's referring to reviving Israel. They're going to go into captivity, and they're going to be brought back, and Israel will be restored. And then ultimately, I think it's pointing to the future, and it's pointing to resurrection. So I get it. That's better. I will say to you, Levi, that's better than appealing to that. But the very fact that your prophet does that, to begin with, he doesn't go, hey guys, look, I'm in Isaiah 30 or Ezekiel 37. He doesn't appeal to that. Later, Mormons
No, during his life, that was appealed.
During his life, he did. Okay, that's fine.
It is in the Book of Mormon that
they interpret all kinds of Old Testament things and they read it into what.
Yeah, we're a little wacky.
Well, I appreciate the admission there. No, it's all right. It's all right. But I would say for me, this would be a huge red flag. The very fact, could you imagine him looking, at the stone in the hat, and whoa, I have a revelation. Joseph saw me all the way back in Egypt, and he even called me by name, and even called me by my daddy's name. Like, he called out my daddy's name, and I'm the one. Mm-hmm. Like, to me, again, I cannot get around the fact that that's just a really dumb thing for God to do. He would at least preserve that particular prophecy from Joseph so that we could verify it. Just like I would also go to a Muslim, and I think you should too. If you're talking to a Muslim friend, you should say, dude, what's up with this? Why is Muhammad putting words in Jesus' mouth to talk about how he's coming? I can't find that anywhere. I can't verify that anywhere. If I came to you and I said, hey, or if I came to a Muslim and I said, I'm in the Quran, I'm in Surah 7:210, there will be an Akeem, and he's going to come from the foreign lands, and he will testify, and the doubters will be shaken by his words, right? And Avery's in there too. The chef Lugic Efiri will cook. And and then it's
what
like,
are we having though? That's the question.
Right. That is a good question. But they're every Muslim is gonna go, dude, the surah stopped 4 verses ago. And I could just go, but yeah, it was lost. Uthman, that was one of the things that he burned up. He didn't want Muhammad to be, or he wanted Muhammad to be the seal of the prophets. He didn't want to people to know that I'm coming and I'm going to set things right and set things back in order and restore the real true faith. Do you see the problem?
I'm listening. I guess when it comes to, and I didn't know this coming into this, that the discussion tonight was prophecy. Prophecies, at least in this regards, Muslim versus Mormon, is less interesting to me. But I'm listening and I'm enjoying your thoughts. I just think that obviously, like, let's say we got Alex O'Connor on here and you're making the appeal, and I'd agree with your appeals that Jesus is being referred to in Old Testament scriptures, but Alex O'Connor might say, well, why should I have that reading? Obviously, you and Levi, we think those are referring to Jesus, but why do I necessarily believe that when other Jewish messiahs were in the neck of the woods?
Well, that would be pretty easy. Well, one of them is a suffering servant who actually is pierced for the transgressions of people and
and I'd agree with that. I think that's a good evidence.
Is buried in a rich man's tomb. And what Alex would probably push back at was just be like, no, the servant he's referring to is referring to Israel. And I would say, okay, then how is Israel bearing the transgressions for Israel? And how is Israel being buried in a rich man's tomb? That's a matter of interpretation that we could actually look at a publicly available prophecy that has been preserved for thousands of years. But what you have right here is a phantom prophecy that cannot be publicly verified. And you only have Joseph Smith's word for it, just like you only have Muhammad's word for it. And so, maybe we're at a point where it's like, where do we go from here? But I would just say, like, just think about it. If anything, I want to put a pebble in your shoe, and because if
it better be a seer stone, that's all I'm saying.
There you go. If Smith would do that, like, what else could he possibly be wrong about? Or what are other things could be sketchy? And so I'm not saying this has to like unravel your Mormonism right here, right now. I don't expect you to just deconvert right now, but I would ask you to like think about it and hear the other side of what people say against Mormonism, because like this ought to make you uncomfortable.
Just a little background about me. I did serve an LDS mission, which doesn't make me like a cosmic authority. Don't get me wrong, but like I've had conversations before, and I enjoy them. I think talking to y'all, and I'm not sure what your denominational persuasion is, but I'm all for conversation. I think that's how we stop talking past each other. And like these concerns of yours, I think are totally valid. Mormonism is pretty wacky. And I think it goes beyond the prompt tonight, but I think there's some compelling parts that are not the conversation tonight. But maybe next time y'all host, I'll have to hop back in.
Yeah, and I think there's compelling parts for the case for Christianity, and maybe those are always things you can find on my channel, and I'll be doing other lives, and I like talking to you. So if you ever, I'll probably do some stuff on just New Testament reliability or stuff like that, which isn't necessarily something we would totally disagree with, but feel free to hop on any of those if I bring it up for invitations and stuff like that. But yeah, but just think about it. Sure. Because again, if you would say this, like, that's kind of weird. What else? What are the other holes in the story? So,
and I think that's fair. If I can make one more point, I would say that maybe sometimes LDS will say mainstream Christianity in distinction to Mormonism. I don't know if that's ever like offensive, but I guess that's what I'm rolling with. I would say that there is a level of prophetic skepticism towards Mormonism, and maybe fairly so, that atheists have been doing the last 2,000 years to Christianity, and maybe even earlier Canaanites and friends doing to Judaism and Israelite religion, that I think maybe we need to approach it more on an individual base by base basis rather than, would I be offended if God spoke to someone new today? A big selling LDS point. No, they would just, and I think we'd agree on this, they would need some strong evidence. If God's dropping a sequel, there has to be some confirming evidence. Now, I'm convinced. I think Mormonism meets some of that, at least enough to be compelling to me, but I totally get that it's not compelling to other people.
Sure.
But-
Yeah, I mean, again, there'd be a whole other topic, the evidence.
Yeah.
I don't know, Joseph's visions versus the resurrection and different things like that. A good book I'd recommend, and we could let you go. Rob Bowman has a really good book on that very topic, Jesus's visions versus the resurrection. You might totally disagree with him, but you know, it would be interesting. I'm sure it would be like a book that I would recommend because I'm a very staunch evidentialist, and so check that out.
Real quick, is your YouTube channel Eric Testify? I've only heard of GodLogic since the O'Connor debate, honestly, which is funny that an atheist is introducing me to other Christians. But to be fair, I think GodLogic and Alex O'Connor and David are all interesting. But is your channel Eric Testify or okay?
Yeah, Testify Apologetics. You can find me there.
Cool. Well, it was nice talking to y'all.
Yeah,
You too, man. You too. Take care.
You too. See you guys.